EOS 6D Mark II and EOS Rebel SL2 DSLR cameras provide photographers with improved features over predecessors. Canon's own marketing couldn't come up with a more exciting opening to their press statement than, "We made them better than the old ones." In this video, I have some thoughts to share on the newly announced Canon 6D Mark II. Let's talk about what's new in the Canon 6D Mark II. First up, we have a 26 megapixel sensor. This is a noticeable upgrade from the 20 megapixel in the original 6D. We have a 45-point all cross-type AF system, exactly what's in the 80D, and that's a significant upgrade from those 11 with only one center cross-type in the original 6D. And in live view, we have dual pixel AF finally, and a full-frame, affordable camera. That is that lovely, capable and smooth autofocus during video, or in stills, just in live view. But those videos are limited to 1080 at 60 frames per second. Though we do have that electronic image stabilization that's been offered in the 77D, and now we have it in this full frame. And there's a lot of confusion about it. It is simply electronic stabilization only and available only during video. So it's not like the Olympus system where you have something amazing that is a physical stabilization system supporting you both during stills and video. We've got a Digic 7 processor supporting an ISO range from 100 to 40,000. High-speed continuous shooting has been upped to 6.5 frames per second. And yes, articulating LCD, fully articulating, and of course touch. Do you know how many times I have heard from you all asking for an articulating screen on a full-frame Canon camera? Well, now we have it. The updated connectivity we've seen on all of the recent Canons is now in the 6D as well, with the Wi-Fi, NFC, Bluetooth, and of course it has the GPS technology. So I've seen the 6D Mark II described as a full-frame version of the 80D, and that's fairly accurate, though you do lose your pop-up flash, and your top shutter speed decreases to 1/4000th of a second versus 1/8000th in the 80D. That's disappointing, but otherwise this should perform very similar to the 80D. Same focus system, almost the same burst rate. So if you're an existing Canon shooter, you've been happy with the 80D or similar models, but you've been waiting for a full frame option with articulating screen, here you go. But is that enough? Let's look at what might be deal breakers for some of you. We have just a single SD card slot. You need to go with a 5D Mark III or the 5D Mark IV if you want the peace of mind of 2 card slots. Wedding and portrait photographers capturing can't-miss moments certainly like the insurance of having these photos saved to 2 cards simultaneously. We've got a top shutter speed of 1/4000th of a second. Now, this isn't about capturing fast action. I just made that comparison against the 80D at 1/8000th of a second. It is not about photographing hummingbirds. This is about being able to use fast aperture lenses in bright conditions. Having a higher shutter speed allows you to keep those apertures open to really have that nice soft background. We also have a fairly disappointing flash sync speed of just 1/800th of a second and no 4K. Now, I work with photographers of all abilities, either through my support group or teaching with McKay Photography Academy, and honestly, 95% of them are photographers with a capital P, and they really don't care about 4K video or video at all. But as I said in my 5D Mark IV video, Canon at one time was groundbreaking in offering cameras that were hybrids and competitive in both photos and videos. And when you have headlines and YouTube reviewers left and right saying, "Oh, no 4K, it does make you consumers stop and wonder if this is a good value. And while today's video features might not matter to you, when you spend $2 grand on a camera, I expect you to be using it for a while. And it's a bit of a joke to not include it now, and in just a few short months it's going to feel quite dated. And again, as I said, many of you might not care, but can you be sure you won't care about it over the next year or 2 or after that? Between the headlines, the tweets, the YouTubers, the lack of 4K on this camera is going to certainly hurt its sales. And no headphone jack does also contribute to making this a much less desirable shooting tool. In short, no one, and I mean no one, should be buying this for its video features. But you say it's got 5-axis image stabilization. As I said, this is electronic, and it's the same thing as adding stabilization in post. Nothing special. Let's wrap up these brief thoughts. So, photographers with Canon lenses, dying for an articulating screen on a full-frame camera, this looks very nice. And seriously, I don't mean to make light of how useful an articulating screen is for landscape and general photography. And that is who this camera is targeted at and does represent a decent offering. However, for professional, wedding, family portraits, etc., I know many of you were hoping that this would be a viable second body or backup camera. I think you're better off with a used 5D Mark III that can be bought for cheaper, gives you those dual card slots, plus the better shutter speeds and flash sync speeds. And well, I've linked my favorite place to buy photo gear, used photo gear, right down below. Once this 6D Mark II begins to ship, I will have my hands on one and review it for you all, so make sure you're subscribed to be notified. I'd love to know your thoughts. Is this the camera you've been waiting for? Did they offer enough improved features over the predecessors? And what's the next most exciting camera to anticipate? Nikon D760, Sony A7 III, helicopters, or something else? Leave those thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, give it a quick thumbs up. And as I said, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.